right, Guillaume, good evening and welcome to Iblis Manifestation. It's good to have you on the show, man.
Thanks. Good for me. Thanks for the invitation. I mean, it's been a long time we're talking about it, so glad we can finally do it.
Yeah, I think it's been a good few months since we had the initial discussions, so I'm glad that we are finally able to do this. I mean, obviously we have a little bit of a history because initially we were actually going to play a series of shows together, but aside, which we will get into, of course, but aside from that, I'm a huge fan of the band. I think you guys have got a killer fucking sound and presence, and I actually think you're massively underrated. Just tell me a little bit about the whole process of Vortex of End. For those who are listening who might not be too familiar with the band just yet, like what can you tell us about the entity that is Vortex of End?
Maybe I'm not the best one to talk about that since I am the last one who came in the band. Sure. I joined in 2020 during the pandemic, and the others are doing that since I think like 15 years, something like that. So yeah, I don't want to pretend I know better than them, but we're doing this. I'm doing this with them now since 2 years. It's a pretty intense thing. With all the bands I have, I think is the one who demands me the most intensity and the most energy. Not the most difficult thing to play, but just in terms of what you put into the music, and especially the gigs, which are really, really intense for me. So yeah, and Vortex of End is all about going as further and as higher as you can. Try to push yourself out of your comfort zone, out of your limits, and feed an egregore. And yeah, that's the point.
Feeding an egregore, and which egregore is that, and in what sense are you approaching that?
Once again, I mean, I think that everybody has his own vision. For me, I don't like to name things. Sure. I see all my bands like energy, like entity, and every person in the band try to nourish it in a way. So I don't want to say this egregore is this, because sure that for the bass player or for the guitar player is not exactly the same. But actually the idea that everybody try to focus on the same direction, at least on a common point, and try to put forms on it. And yeah, all the fire you have in yourself, you put it into it and give form to something very chaotic yet powerful. So yeah, I see it like that. But once again, I don't like to name things. I don't want to pretend to be able to name things.
For sure. I mean, I suppose just the concept of an egregore can be something which you yourself can imagine. It can be a nameless thing, but then that imagination and that energy can be focused on one singular point, which gives life to this entity, if you will. So, yeah, I can appreciate where you are coming from with that. And one thing as well I wanted to specifically talk to you about. I know that obviously you mentioned that you said you joined the band in 2020. And obviously the last album which Vortex Event released, Abhorrent in Fervor, that's... am I saying the name correctly for that?
Yeah, Abhorrent in Fervor, yeah.
Yeah. That is a... That record is a fucking monster, and it's. I was actually listening to it just at the gym tonight. I always I've got my own personal ritual, but I have to listen to a music that the guest that I've got coming on the show has been involved with, and obviously I've already listened to numerous times in the past, but tonight I dedicated some time to it, and man, what a fucking. Just like you put earlier, it's the point of intensity and just totally fucking chaotic, but it's emotional, but in such a rabid way, and at least that's the way I perceived it. And it's got so many different dimensions of it's just the extremity, but then there's the desolate sensation which you get from a lot of the music, and yeah, it's just fucking rabid as fuck. And what was your involvement like with this record, considering you joined the band pretty much, I'm guessing, around the time of its conception?
Actually, I joined the band when I joined the band, the record was in a very good way. It was quite done, but it was kind of the guys to ask me, yeah, if you have ideas, things like that. For the musical part, I quite didn't do anything at all. Everything was done, and I had I had nothing to say like, oh no, we have to change this or this. But I made some backing vocals or adding vocals, something like that. I bring some ideas as well. But yeah, the main part of the album was done. But it's quite interesting that you say that you were listening to it at the gym, because I remember myself when we were talking about the album, and when the other guys presenting to me, they told me, oh, we want something more direct, more, because Ardent Suro, the previous one, which is, to my sense, before I was playing the band, a good album, is very more ritualistic, more atmospheric in a way. But for this one, they were telling me like, oh yeah, we want something we can listen to at the gym and smash people with. So a more direct and a more violent approach. So yeah, but for my involvement in it, for this one in musical part, it's quite nothing, and I wouldn't pretend to add a lot compared to the others.
No, I can appreciate that, man. And I guess that I suppose a lot of what you would bring to the table would also be in terms of just the sheer intensity of the live shows, because I mean, for anyone, I mean, this is something that I myself, I'm dying to see this band in person, but for anyone who's listening, I recommend them just to have a quick look at the Instagram of Vortex of End and just look at some of the really short live clips you've got on there. It's fucking great, you know, and there's such a sense of unison with this band, and I'm speaking beyond the fact that everyone has a mustache and short hair. I'm talking I'm more speaking of the sense of just that fierceness, and that almost like mixing in a kind of a punk attitude, but with black metal and a murderous black metal at that. I think it's very cool as fuck, and I can't wait to eventually actually see you guys, or perhaps even share the stage like we had originally planned.
Yeah, but thanks for your words. I mean, it's actually something we were really curious about before doing the live shows, because since I joined during the pandemic, we were not able to do shows directly. And of course, the other know themselves since years. So we were all curious about how the mix of our two teams will go. And yeah, we're really surprised after the first show. Everything was like we played together since years. So I really like this intensity we have, and also this connection. And without talking to each other, or without anything, there is a kind of unconscious link between each other that works. And for the mustache, we are just two, but we try to convince the others. We will success.
Sure, of course. I mean, I always say this to my bass player as well. You know, it's like I always joke to him. You know, we're bald and we all got beards. You know, it's like 3 upside down heads in the band. So in a sense, I kind of relate to what you're saying with that. But that's fantastic, man. Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's definitely something that happens. I guess when you dedicate yourself to this music to such a serious level, where for a band like you guys, I mean, Vortex Event itself has obviously been around for a while. The first demo came out in like 2006, and obviously the band has evolved quite a lot around since then. But to have yourself coming in, say 2-3 years ago, and what the band already is live with the 4 of you together, I think it's quite special. I wanted to speak a bit more about you personally as well, because obviously I know that out of everyone in the band, you probably have been involved with the most amount of projects. Obviously, you've got the drummer and your guitarist vocalist who are also in Fetus Inversa, which is also a fantastic fucking band, which we've had featured on the show before. And of course, Giuseppe is a good friend of mine too. But let's just talk a bit about yourself, because I know you've been involved with a lot of different projects, and you've also been involved with Abyssal Vacuum as well. So just what can you tell me about, just tell me a little bit about your background as a musician in general, and let's dig a bit deep, see what inspired this.
I mean, I don't think there is a lot of interesting things about what I do or about myself, but I got my first band when I was like 16, something like that, 16 or 17. It was a black metal band in Switzerland. And after that, I had quite nothing during 2 or 3 years. And then I met a guy, and we started a band called Serpens, Luminis. Mm-hmm. And after that, we just had connection, because the Swiss scene is quite small. So in the end, you always see the same person at gigs or things like that. And I joined a band in Switzerland, which is quite well known abroad sometimes, which is called Borgne. It's an industrial black metal thing. And
how'd you pronounce the band name again? Sorry, Borgne, did you say?
In French, it's Borgne.
Borgne.
English person, I always say Borgne or Borgne. But
yeah, okay, sure.
And, it's a band that is around since 20 years or something like that.
Cool.
So it was a one-man band at first. And I joined it as a live guitarist. And then we started to mix all this lineup. And it was fun, because in the end, we had bands like Serpens, Luminis, Ancient Moon, and Borgne were nearby the same lineup for live show.
Sure.
And we were used to do like to propose package and do things together. And for Abyssal Vacuum, it was a good friend of mine who has also a lot of projects. And he has this one-man band thing. And one day I told him, like, this is awesome. I really like it. If one day you want to play it live, let's do this together, because we were talking about that since a long time. And he decided to do it. He released some demo as a one-man band, and now we are working for maybe a first full length, maybe an EP, we don't know. We are working on the next step. And
sure.
There is something really interesting, some small project from here and there, from time and another, and But at the moment, there is a lot of bands that are just on hold, because a lot of people have different things in life, different projects. So I focus on other stuff and then maybe come back. We will see. Future will tell.
Sure, yeah, I understand, man. So it's very much a lifestyle thing for yourself, then. In that case, where you gotta have something going on in regards to just performing this type of music and whatnot. Just on a personal level as well, since we're talking about that, what is your? This is a very general question, but of course it can be more specific. But what's your general sort of mission? Or I suppose initiative when it comes to performing black metal? Why black metal? Why even go down this path? What's your motivation, or rather desire to follow such a path?
There is such a huge question, and I think we can do a 4-hour interview with that. But
that's why we do this podcast. We can do 4 hours if you want.
I have to work tomorrow, so to wake up quite early. But I mean, nobody, to go really, really back. I mean, nobody in my family is playing music and even interesting into music. So at a certain point in my life, I don't remember what I was. I think it was Dire Straits in my father's car, And when I heard that, I heard a solo and a thing like that, and I say, oh, this really take me. I really like that. And that's where I start to understand that music will have a huge importance in my life. When it comes to black metal, of course, after that, I discovered metal with a friend of my family and things like that. And one day, by accident, I listened. I don't remember which album it was, but maybe De Mysterious or something like that. So no originality at all. But I was quite young, maybe 12 or 13, I remember.
Right.
But I understood that at this point, something changed and something will not be the same, because I heard more than music in that. And being that, I started also to play guitar, and I wanted to play music, and I had the first band I was talking about. And of course, when you're young, you'll do it in a very, juvenile, very, not, I don't know say that, but you don't think too much about what you're doing. I mean, you want to play music, and you have something to express, and you have something to do. And but I really had the feeling that this was what I need to do, because I really need it in a personal level. And after that, when years came and I tried to have things with band, I really saw black metal not just as I saw black metal as something that have my whole life in it, in terms of spirituality, in terms of emotion, in terms of passion. Of all my life is connected to black metal in a way. And this is my catharsis. This is my balance, and I can really see that without that, it's hard to find a balance in all this stuff. And my intention, I mean, I don't want to be pretentious. I just want to walk my own path and be the person. Try to find who I am. Try to find my way in all this mess we call life. And try to have a kind of achievement, go out of my comfort zone, and basically it's that, and try to connect myself with some inner things without, again, putting names on it. Don't know how to explain it, because first of all, English is not my mother tongue, so sorry if there is a lot of ambiguity.
No, you're doing a great job, man. Yeah.
But I think it's that. I don't like to name things. I just follow what I feel inside of me, and I see where it brings me. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I think that in itself is quite a valuable thing, just to be able to have access or be in touch with your own emotions and desires in such a way that you find a cure for it, if you will, and you just continue the thing that is going to add to the satisfaction of I mean, like you said, we're just trying to find our way through the mess of life, or just rather the chaos of it, and finding meaning in the fast-paced movement of time and just the entire world around us. So yeah, I do relate to that. And on a funny note as well, it's interesting you said the mysteries, because that was the same for me as well. I think I suppose the same for many of us, usually for people it's like either Burzum or Mayhem, and then that's how they get in. But for me it was also the mysteries, and I was 14, I think. And of course I was still in Iran at that point, and I'd got a bootleg CD of the mysteries from my guitar teacher, because he tried to show me some stuff by like Dimmu Borgir and Cradle of Filth, and I didn't like it. I was like, I don't get this, and that was and he was like, oh no, this is okay, this is black metal. And I was like, no, I don't like this. What else have you got? So he was like, okay, fine, if you insist. And then he got me the mysteries, and then I was listening to it one day when we were driving to North Iran, and Funeral Fog came on, and at first I was like, this is interesting, unusual riffs, but I really like the vibe. And then when Attila's vocals came in, game over. I was like, what the fuck? You know, I was just like you said, like life-changing moment almost. It's like I never knew music alone could be like that creepy, but like kind of interesting and intense at the same time. And like you said, you put it very well. You said it's more than music. I'm very strongly of that belief that when you come to this particular genre of music, it's something that's not bound by genre, but black metal in particular leaves a lot of room, I think, for things that are more than just music to happen. And obviously we see that all the way throughout its history as well, when it's been taken seriously enough as well. Yeah, so I think, it's one of them things. And you mentioned about it being a catharsis as well. I'm going to ask a question as if I am completely oblivious to the possible response, but let's just go there anyway, just for the sake of the point. So when you say that there's a catharsis to be made, what would be the reason for that? Why is it that there's even such a need for this thing? Is this a reaction to society, to life, or internal battles or things like that? Where does the urge for this catharsis come from?
Oh, I think that at first, when I was younger, I was always a kind of out of the box person, like the outsider or things like that. And I really had the feeling to struggling with the daily norms, and all the world is going as normal. So I had that kind of tension growing inside me, and now I really see that. I think that tension is the word, because, for example, we were talking about intensity. And for me, I really consider, for example, a gig as a volcanic eruption. I mean, I have something in me that is really getting more and more tension as the gig approach, and as soon as the gig starts, everything explodes. Most of the time, I don't have any memories of what happened during the 40 minutes of a show. I just consider myself as a vector, and so some energy passed through me, and I don't think about anything. And it's the only moment in my life where I stop to think about something, because I'm a kind of overthinking person. So it's a kind of relief for my brain. And fantasy is really this idea of tension. I don't want to, but it's the society. I think it's a mix of everything, and this idea that I don't consider myself really at my place here and now. But yeah, I'm here and it's now. So what to do about it? I just want to find a way to express the intention and relive all this stuff.
Don't you find, I think you put that really well, don't you find that there's this really weird but interesting thing that happens after you play a show, where it almost feels like you just woke up from a dream, and it's I'm here,
What happened? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Start again.
That's it.
Yeah, it's exactly this. Usually I need really the time to go back on Earth, we can say that.
Yeah.
To reconnect myself with the material world or something like that. But this 45 minutes or anything of life, I really just, I can't remember anything. Sometimes some very blurry images that pass through the veils, but for the rest, it's a disaster. I don't remember anything.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing, man. You know, I mean, just the fact that I mean, I've given this a lot of thoughts, obviously, you know, because the more you try and experience this, the more you try and make sense of it, and to an extent, you can. Like one thing that I've done is not to take away from the romanticization of it, which is quite strong, obviously. But one thing that I've done is try and understand it from more from like a scientific point of view. It's like, what the fuck is that? What is going on? Why does that happen? You know, where you go on there and it's like, in one sense, you're the most controlled, focused version of yourself, yet in the other hand, it's almost like you're not even there. It's a very
it's like a trance in a way. So
yeah,
you're just entering kind of trance. So yeah.
It's a very strange paradox of those extremes, I would say. But one thing that I can definitely understand is, like, for us as human beings, especially, I think if you think about our ancient DNA, what it is that our bodies and our ancestors have been through, and all the wars and things like that. Because if you think about it, if you are an alive person in 2023, that means that your DNA has been able to withstand all the way throughout human history, right? And if you think about it like that, so that means that there's definitely been possibilities of war, possibilities of running away from predators and things like that, just trying to survive through hardship and struggle and suffering. That is within all of our bloods. And to me, the way I look at it is that in a modern society, going on stage and performing black metal is psychologically, I think, about one of the closest things you could get from bringing back the reptilian part of your mind, which has withstand those experiences throughout time and history. And I think that's why it's almost like an interesting simulation of some sorts, because at the end of the day, we're just playing instruments through amplifiers. Why is that such a big deal? You know, but it fucking is, because there's magic. There's something truly feral and competitive and intense and diabolical, actually, which happens with that, you know, which makes it this fascinating thing. We all do it, but none of us, I don't think, really fully understand what is even going on. Would you say?
I think you're totally right. I mean, talking with different person who also had this idea, like a gig is a very intense thing where you quite lost the connection with reality. But yeah, nobody really put words on it, and it's what I think it's really interesting with black metal. But I listen to every kind of music. But for playing music, I never found that anywhere else. I never had this kind of fire inside yourself that just explode as soon as you start. I don't say that the other music are bad or are less interesting. I just say that for myself is the one that really makes everything different. And you're totally right about the idea of primitive yet intense thing without knowing. I don't have any scientific explanation of it. I found a book the other day about music and trance. Didn't start to read about it. I will. Hope I will find some pissed off answer, but we will see.
Sure. Yeah, that's cool, man. I think the thing is as well, it's I don't think it's exclusive to black metal, but there's just something there, you know. I think it's it's almost there's something that lives in those riffs. It's almost like we found a certain combination, because one thing, you know, I'll tell you as well, one thing that throughout many years I was always like very particular about was was the idea that bands would play riffs that were already played before. This is years ago where I thought this, but then after a while I thought, no, that there's nothing really wrong with that, because obviously you don't want to like copy a riff, but if you just create something that sounds a little bit like something else, because that tends to be the majority of the genres anyway. Whether it's black metal, death metal, thrash metal, it's all very, very much in a similar thing anyway. But I think that there's some kind of, to our point earlier, like perhaps even like an egregore that is coded by certain rhythms, patterns of riffs and notes and things like that, which I think perhaps brings out a little bit of that in us. I mean, there's even like, perhaps obviously, as you said, the experiences on stage are a blur, but there's even physical sensations that you can get. One of which always stands out to me when it does happen, is that you get an electric shock almost that goes through your body, that you just feel like, like that. But it's like you can't fake it, but you just feel something almost like Kundalini energy. You feel it at the base of your spine, like shooting up. This fucking energy, which is very fascinating. It's like, why does that happen? What does that mean? It feels powerful. It feels extremely powerful, but it's powers that I feel are yet unknown more than anything.
But I think that in the end is not if the riffs are technical or if the riffs are very new sounding or things like that. For me, I will always prefer somebody who play very basic riffs, but everything he got in it, than somebody that tries to play very difficult stuff, but everything sounds empty and aseptized, or I don't know say that in English, but I just want to when I listening to music, when I listening to black metal, for example, or when I play black metal, I just want to feel that there is a connection between what you play or what you hear and what happens inside yourself. Like you say perfectly, the kind of physical reaction.
Yeah,
you have to feel something in a way, and for me it has always been a kind of point where somebody, when I'm discussing with somebody to play in a band, I always say like, okay, I like the music, yes, but the ultimate test is when you play it, and if you play it and you don't feel something, don't do it, because it will not be good for the band. It will not be good for you. It will be a lack of respect for everybody, including yourself. So don't waste time and energy in that, and do things where you feel connected with. But yeah,
I appreciate that mindset a lot. And that's exactly how I look at it as well. Because even just in the UK alone, we have bands here who, on the paper, they've got great sounding riffs, but they're not a real band. When they're playing together, they're just playing notes and playing drum patterns and playing riffs. And that's not enough. There's something else. You don't experience music just with your ears. You feel it. You feel music. You feel it in your stomach, in your gut. And that's where it makes an impact. That's why, for example, I don't know if you're a fan or not, but I always make the case of how a lot of people... are you familiar with the band Thulkandra?
Yeah, from Germany.
Yeah. So they kind of do it. And this is... I'm not even trying to take a dig at them as such, but everyone always says like, oh yeah, they're just like Dissection, because they play similar scales and notes as Dissection did in the 90s. And I always say... No, fuck no. Dissection wasn't the band that it was because of exactly what notes were written down and how they, and then the song compositions and stuff. Yeah, that was a part of it. But a lot of it was just the intent and the fierceness and the power and just the sheer energy that were behind that music and the personalities that were involved, obviously, and that obviously becomes perhaps even more apparent later on in that band's history. But yeah, I always think it's not just about what notes you choose to play on the guitar, whether it's a technical riff or whether it's this or that. It's about the overall experience, and you want to feel a band. I don't want to watch someone just playing riffs, and pretending to be cool or whatever. I don't feel that. I'm not there to spectate. I'm there to feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, and I agree with that at 100%. Because I would always prefer to see a band that do just minimal stuff, but with hearts full of fire, than just playing technical things and just playing instruments. What's the point? Actually, for me, it doesn't interest me. I'm not saying that it's bad or everybody will do what he wants.
Of course.
And there is people who like that, and I'm happy for them if they like that. But on my musical path and what I'm looking for, this is definitely more linked to what you say. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Just on a slightly different subject, once again, a very broad question, but what's your relationship like with religion?
I was in a family that wasn't interested with religion at all. Just my grandmother, who was really into it. So when I was a child, I was always not scared, but always quite curious about that, because at home we didn't have that at all. And when I came to my grandmother's place, she was very strict about it. When it came to religion, for myself, I always say that I'm not a religious person. I'm just a spiritual person. Once again, I don't want to say like, oh, this is the way to think. This is absolutely the thing I hate in life. When somebody say this is the way you have to think. Think by yourself, do your own experience and things like that. I try to read a lot of different stuff. I try to combine and mix stuff to create my vision and see word and see concept just as key that you have to, a puzzle that you have to put together. So I'm a spiritual person who try to discover different things. And for religion, I mean, of course, I don't have the same background than you in Iran, for example, but I just don't care. I don't have the time to care about what the other think or what the other believe or not. It's already difficult for me to focus on what I believe and or can I understand that, because it's a huge macrocosm where you have to find your way in it. And I was very how to say that when I discovered things like Carl Gustav Jung, for example, the psychologist.
Of course.
It was years ago when I was at university, and it really changed my vision of this, when you have to think about archetype and think what it's not the name which is important, it lies beyond the name. And but once again, I'm not a psychologist. I didn't study that. So I try to find my own understanding and things like that, in a very humble way. I hope so. And but once again, I didn't have the same background that you with religion, so it's not comparable.
Yeah, of course, but I think everyone has their run-ins with them. But actually, you say that we don't have the same background, but obviously Iran being a very strongly Islamic country, and this is actually where I was going with that, because obviously you yourself, you're a Swiss, right?
Yeah, from Switzerland, yeah.
Yeah, but you live in France, is that correct?
No, I'm still in Switzerland.
Oh, you're still in Switzerland. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
One of the things that, I presume that the rest of the band might be from France then, because one thing that has very much caught my attention is just generally how that particular part of Europe is now dealing with the thing of religion and Islam in particular. I think that's quite interesting to me. I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on that? How much are you into the those kind of events, and how these things have been unfolding?
Don't care at all.
Don't care.
I don't give a single fuck about that. The others are from Paris, so they will probably have a different vision about that. But yeah, I'm from Switzerland, so I have mountain chocolate and melted cheese. So yeah, I don't care about these kind of topics. I don't have the time and the energy for that.
Sure, I understand. Yeah, the main reason why I was asking about that is because I think, to me, you can very much connect the lines of. Yeah, I mean, I'm all for a spiritual and religious freedom, actually, but I think it's that it is the very condition of many religions that submitting to them is the opposite of freedom. And I mean, submission alone that's not freedom, and or at
Yeah.
least. That's the way I personally perceive it, and I think that the reason why I bring it up is very much like, yes, we perform our art, and we're constantly trying to explore ourselves and the world through this particular medium. But what do you do when you find yourself in a situation where that is actually, and by that I mean religion, or rather people who act on behalf of religion, who will then try to get in front of these of these expressions that we might have. Have you had any experiences like that? And even if you haven't, what are your thoughts, generally speaking, on such a thing?
I said before, for me, there is a thing that I don't tolerate at all in life, but it could be with religious, could be with politics, with anything, is when somebody wants to pretend that his or her way of thinking is the good way of thinking and try to submit the other or try to impose it to the other. I mean, everybody needs to think by himself or to think by herself and try to find his own way, his own answer. For me, this is the real challenge of life. Try to not being convinced by the other, but really focus on what do I really think, what do I really believe in, and what do I want really for myself. Not what society, what religion, or what politics say to me, but just myself. Just connect to yourself and don't listening to other shitty things. And maybe you found answer, maybe not, but at least try.
No, I think on a philosophical level, that's a very healthy way of thinking. I think everyone should look at it like that. And I agree with you too. I got a problem not just with the style of thinking, but even with people who claim that, oh yeah, this is the way. Because usually when someone does that, like we as human beings, I think sometimes we just oversell ourselves to the point that you think, to the point that it comes across as if, okay, well, this is someone who clearly knows better than I do, so I better listen to them. There's always this thing, and I feel like that's very much tied in with religion. Although there's lots to be learned from it, I think.
Yeah.
It's a problem, and then people who always think that their way is the right way without observing the other possibilities, or like, maybe there's some point to this, or at least observe it, and I think more people, the point I'm trying to make in summary is, I think in nowadays, especially the world in the last 2-3 years, after everything which we've seen happen, I think that a lot of people are more focused about being right than the truth itself, and they're willing to take a gamble on that just for the sake of being right, and exclude any other things just for that sake.
I have the impression that a lot of people are just doing like empty words. They're just saying empty words, but just for the sake of saying, yeah, I have the last one. I have the last word. I win. And I really find interesting at the moment you told about when people say, "Oh, it has to be like that," or thing. And it's also interesting for me to think about the fact that black metal is also exactly like that. When you know that a lot of person want to try to say like, "Oh, it has to be like that," or it has to change, or it has to go this way, or fuck, you can't handle chaos, you can't handle that fire, and everybody has to follow his own path. But I hate when somebody say like, "Oh, this is not black metal because this is not like that." Fuck. You're putting norms and rules on something which is pure chaos. You didn't understood anything.
I think I'm with you. And I think in spirit that's actually part of what black metal is. I think your mustache alone is a big rebellion against those standards. But like even I always say this, like you look at even just the second wave of the Norwegian black metal bands, every single one of those bands sounded completely different from the other one, and everyone describes it as, oh yeah, the true Norwegian black metal sound. Well, what is that sound?
What does that mean?
Yeah, is that the sound of Transylvanian hunger? Is that the sound of pure Holocaust? Is that the sound of like all of these are completely different as far as I'm concerned. So it's an interesting thing, and I think that the best way you could go about it is by, if you want to respect the traditions, then the traditions are, to me, more on the spiritual side of things rather than just what style of riffs you want to use, really.
And you have to break boundaries. You have to think, like I say, I'm not sure you can play music with this amount of connection if you, at the beginning of the process, you're saying to yourself like, "Oh, it has to sound like this. No, you're taking the problem in another way. Like, how do I want it to sound? What do I want to play? Because if you want to feel true to what you're playing, to what you're thinking, to what you're putting in your music, you don't have to think about in which case you have to be. You just have to break every case and go in it without any further thinking. I mean,
for sure, yeah. There's I guess that natural thing as well, and sometimes just purely through expression itself, you find yourself better. You realize what it is truly that you want to say. Because sometimes you might just copy something. Because that's what you know, and then when you say it, it's kind of like, that didn't actually feel too good. Maybe maybe I should do a little bit more soul searching there. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I think that it's definitely a thing with music or with lyric writing or anything really, and then in the mix of all of that, you'll find your own true character, which
but I'm always been amazed by this thing, like for a genre who pretend to be the most rebellious and the most chaotic thing. A lot of person are just very close-minded. They want to normalize it, and like, maybe, just maybe, you took it in a wrong way. I would pretend to have the right answer. Never. I will never pretend to have the answers. But it's always making me laugh when somebody say, "Oh no, this is not black metal because this is not like that, and that." Okay, I forgot that there is a kind of checklist. But yeah, so it joined the fact what we were telling before, that in every different thing, like religion, music, art, politics, as soon as somebody tells you what you have to do, just maybe put this person aside.
What would you do if you're in a position where that person and their influence has control over things that you do? Say, for example, in a hypothetical situation of, it's not even hypothetical, but the situation of what it is like over in Iran, where it's such a strongly Islamic country, where playing that type of music puts your life in danger. What what would be the solution to that if you're in such a case where doing what you do actually is a threat because of certain other dogmas that exist within the world around you?
So difficult because as I've never been in that situation, I could just make hypotheses about it, because of course you can have a lot of words, but as soon as you're in a situation, it's different. But thinking about what you have to face, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, and you will be the most clever person to speak about that. But
no, sure.
Especially for music or things like that, at a certain point, you have really something in yourself that has to say, like, it's a need. It's just not the will. It's you need to do it. Actually, for me, it's like that. If I wouldn't be able to do it, it would be a disaster. And I don't. You have to find a way to do it, because it's not that, oh, I want to play that kind of music. No. You have the deepest need of it. So I don't know how it happens for you, and of course, it's always easy to say, like, oh, I will do it anyway. And when you grow up in Switzerland with, once again, goat cheese and chocolate, great. But
those are nice things.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
In a way, in reality, it's quite different. But you have to think about in which level in yourself this thing is. And of course, if there is something that you can't live without it, you have to find a way to go to it. And I think is what I'm not sure. I just had from different interview you did, you spoke about it quite of time. I think it's what you did, actually.
That is true. Yeah. Oh, so you've listened to other. Yeah, it's the reason why I asked that is because I believe, you know, and here's there's method to the madness. This is why I would even ask you that question. I believe that there's a breed of us who take this music so seriously, or seriously enough, that none of those things would ever really matter, and it's that's always the thing that's going to come first, because that thing, it represents freedom. It represents liberation, and liberation is something that a lot of times it's just like, you know, it's like it's something that I guess sometimes you don't appreciate it until it's gone. You know, I think it was maybe a lot of people perhaps experienced that for the first time, maybe like around 2 years ago when like the lockdowns were happening and no one could play shows anymore. I think a lot of people maybe got their taste of that for the first time, but like generally it's like the sensation of, you know, let's say for example, you're on your deathbed, and all you want to do is go back and do all these things that you feel like you should have done. But when you had the time, you never thought about doing them. And I think that, or maybe you did, but you just never acted upon it, you know. And I think that spirit, that is the thing that is within the true, real expression of arts that is untamed. And that's the liberation which you absolutely wholeheartedly embrace. And I strongly believe that there's a breed of us who perform this kind of music where it doesn't matter where you're from, you would still make the same choice. And of course, it's a different beast to battle with when you're actually there. But, you know, everyone can say things, and I appreciate your modesty in that sense. But I think that you explain it very well, and that was the case for us as well. You know, I had. Just as an example, like the very first Trivex show that we played in the underground, which was at this high school called Kamalul Mulk near the Tajish area. We played there, and we were convinced almost that at some point something could happen. And at the end of the show, I thought something did happen. I thought it was the police, because we saw this big smoke coming at us from the end of the corridor. And when I saw that, in my mind, I was like, I'm ready. You know, I'm ready to go. fuck you guys, we did it our way, we played our music, and when we performed our live show, and even if you kill us now, we already won. And I was ready to, I was like fucking ready. And then it turned out that it wasn't the police, it was something else, and it was the kids who set fire to the place, and then we had to evacuate and leave, but no police came. So it was like, perfect, okay, I went there in my own mind. You know, for a brief moment, like I accepted death for at the cost of at the cost of liberation, you know, which I think is like, I almost like, I know it's a very hard position to be in, but I think it's a very good thing if most people could experience that somehow without really, I guess, actually attaining any damage. Just in your mind, knowing that that's a possibility, it does a lot, I think, for a person.
But I also think that even of a less dangerous atmosphere, I mean, on a daily basis, for you can see a lot of people in this scene, of course, but I think you can easily recognize the one who have their own life going through this, because when you see people that are doing kilometers, that are doing that every weekend just because they have this need to let this beast goes out, this fire explode, and of course I try to find a balance in my life. I have a job, I have a daily job, I have obligation, but as soon as you can have this little atmosphere, this little break and a little moment, and put that aside, you did it. I've discussed with some people who would just say, "Oh, I play music because I like that. It's a cool thing to play on weekends." And when you try to discuss with them, like, "Yeah, I play music because I need it. I can't live without playing it because I will just explode if I don't let this goes out." And
Absolutely.
It's John, what you said before, that without the danger of the Iran and the police thing like that, but even now, when you go to a gig and you can easily recognize those who do it with their full heart because they have to do it and not just because they want to do it.
Absolutely, man, and this is exactly why I still want to get Trivex and Vortex Event together at some point. I think it's yeah, it's
everything
about
happens when the time comes. But
yeah,
it will happen. I'm sure about it.
Oh yeah, of course. I'll speak to you after this, but yeah, it was unfortunate how that happened. You know, it was a very complicated situation, which was
that's a mess.
Yeah, it was. Do you remember when I had to send you them voice messages? And
I was in the middle of a festival. We were playing with my band. And it was the after party, and I just got the message. I'm like, "Oh fuck, a serious thing happened." But glad you were able to do it with Beyond Man, and of course, this was something we were looking for because the lineup was really cool. Every band fit so well together, but yeah. I don't like to waste time on the past, but this was really, the more the time passed, the more we were doing like, "Oh, it will never happen." You know about that? Yeah, it will never happen.
Yeah. It was a very stressful situation, you know, and I think it was like just the fact that I mean, this is basically, you know, like, and I don't want to do like a smear campaign or anything. I just want to talk about the actual challenges that we faced, you know, but basically 3 weeks out of the tour. Like, we booked this in October, and the shows were happening in June, and the first week of May I find out that no accommodations booked, no transport is booked. Beyond Man have already paid for their tickets, non-refundable.
Right.
And you know, like the first show was never confirmed with the venue. the second show canceled, and in all fairness, the cancellation of the second show wasn't the fault of the agent, but still, everything else was fucked up. So it was like, you know,
it was a total mess, and we were just looking that from outside, like, what the fuck is happening? And it was so funny because, you're right. We were talking about that since October, and I remember when they asked us to confirm that we will attend. And I just started a new job like the day before, and like I can't start a new job and already ask for vacation. And at a certain point, they were always like, no, you have to say if it's okay or not. Like, okay, it's okay, we will do it. And when we saw that everything was such a mess, we're like, wow. But Vortex of End got a kind of, for what I heard, Vortex of End has a kind of shitty story with your country. Like the first one they were supposed to play was a festival in London, where the lineup was just a kind of best of lineup, like Black Plague Fest or something like that.
I know about this. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
It was canceled. So that next try, a tour with you and the Beyond Man, sounds good. Cancel. But we will make it. And it's fun because as long as the time go by, we are more hungry to destroy your country. So
well, it's not really my country as such. So, but feel free to destroy it all you want.
You're in general.
maybe I will.
Who eats puddings and do weird things with food and things like that.
as I guess as a Swiss person, you could recognize that. But like, I mean, you know what they say, man. Third time's the charm. Maybe. Maybe you know.
Happen. If somebody is mad or silly enough to make us come, we are open to the discussion.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So we'll definitely get in on that, and that Black Plague Fest as well. That was actually
I think it was that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was, because there's like a whole lot of story to that, because that's actually the reason why we ended up playing with Darvaza, you know, and then we became good friends with those guys. The bizarre thing about it is that the agent who I won't name names, but the agent who completely fucked up the tour was actually a big part of making that replacement show happen with Darvaza and us. So it was like, you know, we were going on good reps. We were like, oh, nothing could go wrong here, but of course it very much did. And then you guys saw it, but you know, these things happen.
I don't want to be the person who say that you failed everything. I don't know what this person faced or not. I say I don't want to lose energy on the past. The two never happened, of course. And now we know. And if this person contacts us again, of course we will not accept it. But I'm not here to destroy somebody.
Oh no! Neither am I. That's why I'm not mentioning any names. I think it's just that I actually think that, like, personally, I think like we're partially to be blamed for that, just for not being more strict with the questioning and not and just accepting it, saying, oh, we're doing this. Oh, they're coming over. Oh, we're gonna get this. Okay, fine, let's do that. It's like, well, why? You know, what's in it for this person who's involved, you know, and we should have questioned that more. So I take also full responsibility for what went wrong. However, like you said, that's just the past, and we're gonna move forward. And hopefully, if the UK audience listening to this episode is gonna make some fucking demands to bring Vortex of End to the UK, then perhaps we can make that happen. All right?
Of course.
Awesome,
I hope
brother.
So. But and as you said, I think it's same. Since we didn't know how it will happen, we just send mails and like, okay, do you have any news? No news coming. Another mail, and at a certain point, you can do nothing more than just send mails, and since we are not in England, so we don't know the person personally. So yeah, that happens. It's past.
Yeah,
I have other things to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and you know what? I'm grateful because the shows that we got to do with the Beyond Man guys were like absolutely memorable. You know, it was
really cool that
special.
you were able to do it with them.
Yeah. Just by the skin of our teeth, we made it.
What?
Just by the skin of our teeth, I say we made it. It was, yeah. Absolutely, man. Listen, Guillaume, I don't want to take too much of your time, but just before we start going off, do you have any? Is there anything that you would like the audience to check out from what you're doing with Vortex Event? Anything you got coming up? Whilst we round things up a bit.
Oh no! I mean, everybody has to do things it is interesting in. I will never force somebody to listen to my band.
Well, they got the choice. We're presenting them with a choice to listen to the band. No one's forcing them.
Yeah, but I mean, if somebody wants to discover this, they are open too. I mean, nowadays there is enough way to discover it. So go ahead. And on a personal level, as said before, a lot of projects going on. So maybe I really want to focus this year on the Abyssal vacuum thing.
Okay.
Because it's a very different project. Don't know if you had the time to listen to it, but
I've seen some rehearsal clips you posted up before. Very interesting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of Bluetooth Nord mixed with Mare elements, things like that. And yeah, we really want to try to focus a little bit on that this year, and I hope we will release something. We'll see. Time will tell. I'm not here to push the others. We all have a lot of projects, so everything happens when the time is right for it. So we'll see.
Absolutely, man. Well, I'll include a link in the description of all of the projects that you mentioned, you know, and the Bandcamp for Vortex Event and everything else you got going on. So if people want to go and check that out, then they can. So yeah, Guillaume, it's been a real pleasure, brother. I very much appreciate your time. I thank you for coming on to the show. And
pleasure was mine.
Thank you, and I look forward to hopefully bringing you guys to the UK at some point.
Yeah, hope so.
Yeah, awesome, brother. And to everyone listening to the podcast as well, thank you all very much. Hope you guys enjoyed my conversation with Guillaume, and please go and fucking check out Vortex Event. You're not gonna regret this one. See you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.